With every video that I make, I take great responsibility to make a video that can really help a brother out, can pull a sister up a little bit. And that really motivates me to make a beekeeping video that could still be something that will distract somebody for a moment, pull them into thinking about something different than all the hardship that they're going through. Here we are in the middle of December, and it seems like the bee season has just ground to a halt. And here we are faced with winter quickly approaching. And I know many of you are wondering, like I am, are my bees really going to be okay this winter? And a lot of you might be kind of reflecting back of all the things that you did during the bee season and wondering if you did enough. Wondering, did I do the right things? Should I have checked for mites more? Did I control this enough? And it's kind of a lot of anxiety. It really is. I understand that. And today I'm going to help you with that. So stick around and we're going to have coffee time afterward. Hey, everybody, David Burns. Good to be with you today. And my passion is to help you guys feel better about beekeeping, to help you not have so much anxiety about it. Because I've been keeping bees for about almost 30 years, and I've been on YouTube here making beekeeping videos to help you guys out for 15 years, all the way back in 2008, I started making videos. So today I'm going to keep that spirit alive, and I'm going to keep telling you guys more good stuff about beekeeping so you can keep healthier bees and make fewer mistakes. So today I've just gone through my channel here and grabbed some questions that you've been asking me, and I thought it'd be a fun time to be in the kitchen here that Sherry has so beautifully decorated, joining me on a Saturday. Happy Saturday to everybody. So get your cup of coffee and settle in. Let's talk together about bees today and address some of the questions that you might be having. First question we're going to answer: why not the tiny entrance? Now, this was a video that I made about a week ago, I think, where I actually showed how to reduce the entrance for bees going into the winter. And I showed you guys how to slide a little piece of cardboard under there. And so this question is pertaining to me putting the wider entrance opening on that entrance reducer. So why not the tiny one? You know what? I don't really think it's going to make a lot of difference, but I'm going to tell you why I like the wider entrance. I like the wider one because, we have bees that die in the wintertime. Those bees fall to the bottom on that little piece of cardboard that we put down there, and I can pull the string and I can clear them out. So if you go to a small, it's about an inch entrance on those entrance reducers or cleats. And if you go to the small setting, what can happen? Those dead bees that are dying of natural causes can actually drop down there and clog it. Plus, if you get a snowstorm or you get a lot of ice or something, it can actually clog that up too. Now, this is really critical if you have a solid bottom board, because at that point, if you've got everything insulated tight above, then like around the top and sides, and you have a solid bottom board, and the only way the bees can get air is through that little tiny slot in the entrance reducer, and it gets clogged up. Well, bees don't breathe like we do, but they need air. And so that's why I prefer to go a little bit bigger down there on that entrance reducer. Good question. The next question is, somebody told me to put some bleach, I believe that's bleach, in hot water, or just plain water is fine. If you're cleaning any frames that have a little bit of mold, is that when you use bleach in water or just plain hot water? That's another good question. Bleach has been our standby item that we use to cut out mold when we see it on stuff. I understand that. But here's the thing. Bleach doesn't always work as well on porous things like wood as it does on things like ceramic. You use it in bathrooms and such. Vinegar works really well. Now, bleach can get rid of some of the mold staining, but it may not get rid of the mold itself where vinegar will. So, you know what? The way I just look at it, I put up with a little bit of that mold staining that happens on some of my frames or some of the lids or boxes, and it's just part of the patina of keeping bees. But probably the biggest thing that we want to do to prevent that from happening is ventilate our hives a little bit better. Usually there's too much moisture in the hive, and that moisture is just sitting in there and giving all those mold spores a chance to really grow. So figure out a way how to keep the bottom open a little bit better, or upper vent or something, or figure out a way that you can insulate the hive in such a way like the condensing method where you don't have a lot of moisture in the hive. Now for me, I like the ventilation of that little slot of the winter bee kind and all that candy to absorb the moisture That moisture gets into the candy, makes it more soluble for the bees to consume, getting rid of the moisture at the same time. With the weather turning cold and barely making it into the 50s, would it be a good idea to take off sugar water and put on the candy boards? Thanks. I prefer to stop feeding bees sugar water when the temperature gets below 50 degrees Fahrenheit during the daytime. And at that point, bees are going to start clustering at 50 degrees and lower. And so I prefer to have some candy right above the cluster, like a winter bee kind board, and that way the bees have food that they can access even while they're clustered by the top of the cluster. It's going to be a little tougher for bees to consume liquid that's cooler, and they're going to have to defecate more the more sugar syrup they consume. So I prefer the harder candy when the temperatures drop. So for me, I just watch the temperature, and if it starts getting in the 40s, that's the magic number for me to drop my winter bee kind boards on and let the bees go after those. Next question, do you have a video on wax moths? I do have a video. I've got several videos on wax moths actually. I made one millions of years ago. I made one a long time ago actually. And take a look at it right here. You can see the video that I made. And back then we had not so nice cameras back then, but you can at least get an idea of this wax moth. So I made this video and it's still up on YouTube. Like I said, I've been making videos since 2008 for 15 years. So I've almost hit every subject. But in this video, you can see the damage that wax moth will cause to a hive. And it's not that they cause damage to the colony so much as they cause damage to the hive. And the colony is the bees, the hive is the boxes, right? So in this case, the little larvae, they kind of pupate and they actually make these cocoons where they burrow into the wood and leave little dents so they can kind of rough up your wood surfaces a little bit. But remember, wax moths come into very weak colonies that are already on their way out. The video that I show here, check it out. In fact, let me show you right here. Let me give you a good example for those of you that are asking me, have I ever made a video on this? Before you ask me that question, look what you do here. Go to my YouTube channel and then see right across the top here, you'll see these titles. Scroll across until you see this little magnifying glass. It's a search icon. Now, type in David Burns wax moths and look what comes up. See how easy it is for you. If you want to know why doesn't David use inner covers, go to my YouTube channel. Go to these links across the top, go over to the search icon, type in David Burns inner covers, David Burns small hive beetle, David Burns honey supers, David Burns mite testing, and it will just bring up the videos that I've made. I hope that helps you out. Here's a good question. It says, is feeding pollen during the winter a good idea if they are constantly flying during the warm part of the day? I have a round feeder on top with dry sugar on the hive. I live in South Carolina. These types of feeding questions are really a personal preference. I think you just have to decide if you want to fool with it or not. Now, bees will consume protein or pollen like this, pollen substitute powder. They will get in there and eat that when they have a chance, especially late winter. And I've made a lot of videos about this showing you how desperate bees are for this type of pollen protein substitute that bees love to get into in late winter. And they'll just roll in it. And I have been feeding them some even now that it's kind of been decent here in the last few days of fall. But yeah, I mean, if they're flying, they're probably looking for something. And if there's nothing out there, you could lay out some protein powder out there for bees and let them have access to it and may help them out a lot. Are there any reason why your bees are eating up winter bee kinds more than my bees? I've had mine on for 3 weeks and they've only scratched the surface. Hey, some of my hives, when I put winter bee kinds on, they don't get up there for quite a while either. And so it kind of depends on the bees themselves, how cold it is, how much food they might have already in the maybe the two deeps or the deep down below. If they have a lot of resources where they're clustered or hanging out, they may not need to go up to that winter bee kind. And sometimes they move up into a honey super above them if you're running one of those. And there are times like the one I've been featuring in my video lately is they decided to go up there. They actually skipped the honey super and just walked right through it, didn't even uncap it, went right for the winter bee kind, ate the whole winter bee kind. So now they still have the honey super there. No rhyme or reason. Bees are going to do what bees want to. It has a lot to do with the weather, what food stores they have near them, where they're clustered, what your temperatures are bouncing up and down. It's just the nature of the bees. What is the best treatment for hive beetles? Oh, you know what? I have made a video not that long ago. Here we go. I'm going to show you how to find it. Are you ready? David Burns Beekeeping on YouTube. We'll type in David Burns small hive beetle. We'll hit enter. We get these videos and we go down here to this one. This is the best one right here. That one I made where I talk about the biology of the small hive beetle so you can kind of know how quickly they can multiply and what they're all about. And then I talk about all the various treatment options that you have to cut down on small hive beetle and some of your own integrated pest management, simple things you can do to keep beetles from getting to overtake your hives too much. So you got to watch this video right here. That video is going to be a good one. Just remember the title and you'll be able to go and find it and watch it after this video. I got this comment one day ago. It says, is it too late to buy queens? It largely depends on where you live. I'm not sure, what country that you're living in right now. It could be very warm where you're at. But here in the U.S., and we're in December, so we're in the last few days of fall, it's way too late to buy queens. First of all, it's hard to ship them when it's cold outside. They'll die in shipment. They'll get too cold. And then secondly, usually you can't open your hive to put them in. So you have all that to contend with. You really want to replace queens in a nectar flow anyway. When the bees are busy with a nectar flow, I think they're more willing to accept a queen. And so that's the best time to do it in the summer. Around summer solstice is the best time to replace your queen that year. So yeah, probably too late if you're here in the US. Do you think that hive tool would be good for bees that make an insane amount of propolis? This is the most frustrating part of beekeeping for us. Sometimes we have to use brute force and frame splinter. Yeah, I'm glad you got to see that in my video. It was so cold when I was doing this inspection that the propolis gets really, really hard on cold days, and you can see that it was starting to crack away from the frame, the top bar pulling away from the sidebar. I don't think a hive tool makes a big difference, but you want to work your bees on a warm day when the propolis is more pliable and it gives. But on a colder day, it's just going to lock those frames together, and yeah, you can splinter frames. If you really hate propolis a lot, then each time that you're working your bees, you pull a frame out, you can try to scrape off as much propolis as you can. That's probably what you need to do. Some types of bees actually will gather much more propolis than other types of bees. Actually, many years ago, queen breeders actually used to try to raise queens so that the bees would not have and go gather a lot of propolis. But we've learned that propolis is great for bees. It's part of their immune system to cut down on pathogens. They coat the inside of their hives with it. So it'll be interesting with your question there to see how well your bees do, because many studies show that a hive that has a lot of propolis in it does a lot better with winter survival than those with minimal propolis. You're feeding with supers on? I see that question a lot. People see that I have a honey super on there and I'm feeding, and somewhere along the line they connect that I'm feeding sugar water to a hive, and it's just going to be translated into the honey supers that I'm going to eat. And that's really not what I do. I only gather my honey from honey supers that I put on in the summertime when I'm not feeding my bees. That's the honey that I like to harvest. And I don't sell honey anymore. That's not part of my business plan anymore. So I don't really have to worry about selling, any sugar that's in my honey. The only honey that I make for myself here. And I just really use all the honey the bees make to actually make more bees, to raise queens and all that, make splits. So I keep reinvesting the bees' own honey back into themselves. So, but yeah, if you're someone that needs to feed your bees while you have honey supers on that you're going to harvest, I don't recommend that. I've always said you want to feed your bees anytime, mainly all the time, that you're not actually collecting honey. So I feed my bees in the wintertime, I feed my bees in the fall, But in the summertime, nah, I'm not going to feed my bees. I'm going to put my honey supers on and I'm going to let them gather that. Now, what I often do is I'll overwinter with a honey super. It's one that they raised that year though. So in the video that I think the video that I'm looking at that you saw, that was a honey super I put on. They filled it without me feeding them. So now I'm feeding them, and as you can see in the video, all those honey super frames are filled over. They're capped over. Here's a good question. So if we have new nukes, should we be able to determine if we have good laying queens within a few weeks? Should we have 2 frames of brood or more at any one time? This ends our 3rd year of beekeeping season. Each season was better than the last, but all ended bad. So the question is about maybe a 5-frame nucleus hive, and a nuke is different than a package. A package is 3 pounds of bees with 1 mated queen in her own separate cage. No frames, just bees. But a nucleus is 5 frames you pull out of an overwintered colony, and it has the queen that is usually overwintered with those bees. Or it could be a brand new queen for the season, but nonetheless, it is a queen walking around on frames laying eggs. So you're getting 5 frames that have brood, they have honey, they have nectar and all that. It's like a little mini hive. It's a heart of a hive. So yes, you should see a couple of frames of brood, and then you should see a couple of frames of resources. That makes up 4. And then 1 frame, I'll give you that one. It'll have a tiny bit of something on it, but you want the bees to have a little bit room to continue to expand. So you want a little bit of open space on at least one half of a frame, one side of a frame, even on a 5-frame nucleus. Sorry you had a bad experience each time. You should be able to tell when you get a nucleus if you've got a good laying queen. You really should. When you get the nuke, you look at it, you should have solid brood pattern. And as the season progresses, after you put them in a 10-frame deep, yeah, you should be able to tell that's a good queen. Here's something that surprises me that I actually see a lot. Look at this comment. I keep missing your live stream. What time zone are you in? Well, every time we talk about our live stream, we always say Thursday night, 7 p.m. CT. CT stands for Central Time. Now, I'm putting a graph up here on the screen for all of you to look at. Let's have a little lesson in time zones. I'm in Central Time Zone. And think of Central Time as being like Chicago. So central part of the U.S. here, the Midwest. And you can see in the time zone right here, I'm in Central Time Zone. So if you're in Eastern Time Zone, like maybe you live out east, like New Jersey, New York, out east, then you're going to be an hour ahead of me. That means it's going to be 8 o'clock your time. My 7 o'clock is 8 o'clock your time. Now let's go the other direction. Out west of me, the next time zone is called Mountain Time. You think of Denver, Colorado area, That's going to be Mountain Time. So Mountain Time is going to be 6 o'clock for my live stream. And if you live in, let's say, California, Pacific Time, it's going to be 5 o'clock p.m. So there's our lesson in time zones. So figure it out. Look at the map. I don't want you to miss my live stream. I air the live streams live Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, or CT. David, should I remove the inner cover when I put on my winter bee kind, or should I leave it on? No, you always want to remove your inner covers. You don't need those. Put them in a safe place out of the rain and use them again next year when you're no longer using the winter bee kind. But the winter bee kind goes on right above the top box of the hive. So for example, if you're running just a single deep through the winter bee kind goes on top of the single deep. If you're running 2 deeps, and that's your top box, put the winter bee kind candy down toward the bees on top of the second deep. If you're running 2 deeps and a honey super, take off the inner cover and put the winter bee kind right on top of that honey super, and always put the top cover back on and put a brick on top to hold everything together. If you scrape 8-year-old comb, can you melt it down and use it to coat new plastic, or would you transfer the chemicals? Yeah, that's not a best practice, I don't think. 8 years, and I'm glad that you know that old comb attracts chemicals. Even some beekeepers that allow their bees to make their own comb, produce their own wax, make their own comb, and after several years, it was found to have chemicals in it, even though they didn't use any chemicals. The bees pick it up out of the environment. So 8 years and recoating them, it's going to have that on it. So it's really the best option that you have is to harvest your own cappings off your honey supers, because that's probably only going to be 1 year old. But I know a lot of us buy wax off of Amazon, and you just got to hope for the best that it doesn't have much chemicals in it. And if you've made it this far with me, now it's time for coffee time. Some of you have really told me that you missed coffee time, so thought I'd share some coffee time with you. And I'm going to start today by really encouraging you guys. I'm going to let you know a little bit about myself, a little bit more than you probably have heard before, but I want to talk to you about the values that I hold in making my YouTube videos here. And this is something that I have stuck with ever since 2008. I have actually stuck to 4 core values in making each of my videos. The first one I've always held is when I make a video, I ask this question: what content can I create to answer questions that beekeepers are dealing with? Secondly, what can I say and how can I present it in the most positive and encouraging way to help beekeepers? Thirdly, how can I communicate to my viewers in such a way that they view me as their friend? And number 4, how can I show that I have my viewers back and I want them to win at beekeeping? Those are the 4 things that really drive me and stand behind every video that I've made in the last 15 years. I mentioned this last Thursday on my live stream. You'll never see me putting somebody down. You'll never see me tearing down somebody on my YouTube channel. You'll never see me get involved in drama. You won't see me get involved in gossip. And I'm not going to be disrespectful to other people. When I'm given a chance, I always speak positive about other beekeepers, about other content creators on YouTube. Look, I've got a 15-year track record in consistently putting out content that I'm talking about where it's positive and encouraging. And I hope you see that. On my channel, I've never been divisive. And you've seen that. And I think that's why probably maybe some of you like it. Now, look, I know that if I had more drama and if I was more divisive and if I had more, I was talking down about people and critiquing things and criticizing individuals and had a bunch of stuff going on all the time, it gets more views. I know that. It gets more subscribers. I know that. But that's not my motivation. In fact, if that's what's driving viewers and subscribers to my page, for me dragging other people down, criticizing other people, being divisive, having drama, being like crazy, I'm not going to do that. This is who I am, and this is what I've been for the last 15 years here on YouTube. And I'm just going to be able to draw those people that respect my position and how I come across on YouTube. Someone left a comment and said that I should not wear skimpy clothes or take my clothes off to get more views. So you see, I love to get more views and I would love to have more subscribers, but I'm hoping that my channel grows by me being sincere and working hard for you guys to help you keep healthier bees and make fewer mistakes. And that's what you get with me. Now, I'm not going to do anything weird. I'm not going to do anything crazy just to get views or just to get subscribers. Now, I might do some weird stuff, but not weird stuff. But you know how that goes on YouTube. YouTube channels that are doing great, sometimes they do great because they're way overboard with weird stuff. And one of the main driving points behind all of this is because I know that I'm making beekeeping content. But I also know that a lot of you are watching that aren't beekeepers. And those of you that are beekeepers, I know that all of us are going through things. Everybody goes through rough times. Everybody goes through times of sickness, times of poverty, times of struggling financially. I understand that. Everybody goes through times of a crisis of some sort, depression, anxiety, hardships. All of us go through that. So when I make a video, I want to make a video that can kind of be an oasis, a place where people can just for a few minutes listen to me talk about bees, listen to me have a positive, encouraging word about beekeeping, and hopefully just my positive attitude in general can help somebody kind of come up a little bit higher from the dark moments that they're going through. So with every video that I make, I take great responsibility to make a video that can really help a brother out, can pull a sister up a little bit. And that really motivates me to make a beekeeping video that could still be something that will distract somebody for a moment, pull them into thinking about something different than all the hardship that they're going through. Now, I know my channel has a bit of a kinder, more gentle. I've been accused of being Mr. Rogers or Bob Ross type things. I know some of you probably love to listen to me when you take a nap or when you're going to bed. I can put you to sleep. And I know my channel has that kind of a feel to it. But I think that's the approach that I want to have. I want to be one that can calm people, to encourage people, to have a positive impact on people through beekeeping. I've had my shares of hard times as well. There's been days where I've had to work hard at overcoming some stuff. I mean, let's face it, stuff can really weigh you down. And I know I may come across as always happy, always positive, never having a dull moment, never having a sad moment, well, never having a struggle. That's just not true. I've been through stuff. I've been to 7 or 8 countries. I've actually had to hold the hand of several people that breathed their last breath. I know what it's like to be flat broke. I've gone through my share of struggles, but you've probably gone through tougher stuff than I have. Nonetheless, we all go through tough times. And beekeeping is one of those things that a lot of people get into to help them with their anxiety, their depression, or their struggles. So here I am at coffee time, and I'm here to tell you that I enjoy being with you and helping you. Even though I've gone through a bunch of stuff, but hey, I'm still standing. All the stuff I've gone through, I'm okay. All the stuff that you're going through is going to be okay. You're going to make it through. It'll be different. Yeah, things will have to change maybe, but we're still standing. I've had some days where the day has defeated me, but I'm not defeated. I've had some moments where I quit for the moment, but I haven't quit the journey. And you know what? I've learned that even though we all go through stuff, we might as well be as happy as we can when it's possible to be happy, even though we're going through stuff, because we're always going to be going through something, and we might as well choose to be as happy as we can. Now, there are days that I want to make a video and I can't, because, be honest with you, I'm mad about something, and I'm not going to go behind the camera being angry. I'm sad about something. I'm not going to make a video all in a down mood, or, whatever. I'm going to wait until I can rise above my stuff and regain who I am and be positive and encouraging and supportive. And I want that to reflect in my videos. In my last career, I was a leader. And nothing gives me a greater sense of joy and accomplishment than to lead someone to a better place. And that's what I hope to do with every video that I make. I'm kind of summarizing 2023, looking forward to 2024. I'm looking forward to every video that I make will lead you to a better place. It doesn't have to be the best place. It just needs to be a better place.